Thank you for joining us on TNT tonight. We're going to listen to a neat story Rabbi Federow had with one of his converts, talk to a convert's father who happens to be a minister. So, interesting conversation. We're fixing to hear all about it. Sit tight. We'll be right back. Welcome to Knock Talk. I'm your host, William Hall, broadcasting live out of Kingsland, Texas, USA, with another episode of TNT, the Twisted New Testament, with Rabbi Stuart the Ghost Federow, because I don't have him up on screen. I got his voice, but I don't have his face.
How are you?
I am well. How are you, Rabbi? It's good to. I was going to say see you again, but actually I don't see you. It's not your fault, mine though. I'll have it ready here for just a second, but we can hear you. So say hi to everybody. They won't see you.
Hi, everybody. You won't see me. You won't see me. You won't see me. Time after time.
Nice.
You refuse to even listen. I wouldn't mind if I knew what I was missing. All the days. All right. So, end of Beatles.
Awesome.
All right.
And action. I've got you. You are live. Oh, wow. Boy, is that big.
I'm alive.
Big and square.
It's alive.
Hip to be square. All right. Well, cool, man. Let me get the phone lines open as well, but actually I don't want to open the phone lines yet. I want to hear this story. So from what I gather from our conversation earlier, so you have a convert in your synagogue. Am I correct?
Well, yes. He's in the process, I should say.
Okay.
And he called me yesterday
How old is
afternoon.
he?
We were on the phone for an hour and a half.
How old is this guy? Your convert?
I'd say early 30s.
Okay, cool. So you talking to his father?
Yes.
Who just so happens to be a minister.
I believe he's a minister.
Okay.
Asking me all sorts of questions about Judaism and the Bible and contradictions and, and how can you believe that and the usual stuff you'd expect. So it'll be interesting. I mean, it was very interesting. What'll be interesting is I have a thing that records conversations, which I used, and I'm sending it to a transcription service.
Oh, wow, cool.
So we'll see what happens.
Nice. Very cool.
Not sure you could hear him ask the questions well, but you can certainly hear my answers.
Well, if you can remember the questions, you can make sure everybody else knows.
Right.
Maximo, Devin, Angela, Eddie, Kelly, Beverly, Don, Wally, Bill Smiley. Good to see you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Am I missing anybody? Sean Gibson, Delane.
Yep.
Very cool. All right. So, I'm sure this will lead into the conversations, but I'm definitely curious. What was your first? I'll wait till I have your attention. I know you're reading.
The first question.
No. How did he break the ice with you?
Break the ice is easy. How are you? Nice to meet you. If only by phone. I mean,
Okay.
That's not that hard to break the ice. That's just human relations and being a mensch.
So how did he did he just come right out and just ask?
No. I said, so what's going on? What questions do you have? And his first question was, I have either witnessed or I have heard about people praying to Jesus, okay, and getting what they prayed for. Cures and healings and, getting a job and all this other stuff. So my response was, wait a minute. So you're telling me that every single time you or a person in the church you belong to or you're a minister at, I can't remember if he was a minister or not, I said, every single time they prayed in the name of Jesus, they got what they prayed for. Well, no. I said, no, wait a minute. I thought if you pray in the name of Jesus, whatever you want is, you get.
Anything you ask, yeah.
Okay, you ask and you shall receive.
I think we need to change the title of the show, by the way. That's a good thing to follow off on right there. I've been thinking about that this week.
Okay. Why have you been thinking about it?
Because I was thinking about people talking about how how they've prayed and healed people. And then I thought about how you've mentioned one time, well, if you've got all this power and prayer with Jesus, why aren't you going to the hospitals and healing the people who actually need it? By
Right.
bulk. And so, and more than that, I can still look back on a fairly regular basis and see things now that we have need for, that we either prayed for or we didn't pray for, and Hashem is providing them like almost like clockwork. So if it's only through Jesus, why is he still answering my prayers? And if he's only through Jesus, why are the Buddhists getting their answers?
And more importantly, if all of a sudden he doesn't answer your prayers,
right?
Is that some sort of indictment of you? Does that mean you're a horrible, evil person who's, damned to hell because all of a sudden you prayed for $100 billion to fall in your lap from a plane from the sky,
Devin,
and it doesn't happen? I mean,
Real quickly, Devin, thank you. Tell me if that's a little bit better. I just turned my volume up. They said my volume was a little bit low.
Well, that's what I said to you earlier.
Oh, I thought we fixed it though. Okay.
Well, for me, you did.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But,
right.
At any rate, so
okay.
My answer, which this has come up on occasion, I said, first of all, my God is not so vengeful and mean and petty and small that my God believes you have to have the right religion, the right belief system. You have to have the right faith. You have to have the right name for God. My God answers prayers all over the world. Even Buddhists and Hindus get their prayers answered, but they're not They're not answered from their multiplicity of Hindu gods.
Right.
Okay. They're not answered by their Jesus. They're answered by God.
Right.
And he doesn't need the credit. Okay. The pat on the back, whatever. He's not that petty and small. And he doesn't require every single person on planet Earth to use the right name, the right pronunciation, have the right belief system, have the right faith, have the right. My God is forgiving and compassionate and merciful and generous.
Right.
And he just got real silent at that.
I would liken that to somebody asked me a long time ago, about, 3 or 4 years ago, after I had left the New Testament behind, and about how God answers prayers and things like this. And I explained it to them, or they said, well, how is it that God is answering my prayers? I'm a Christian, whatever. And I said, you know what? I said, to put it in like a worldly term, something you can wrap your head around, it would be like if I was standing in the place of a metaphor, if I was God and I was out in my front yard and I heard a neighbor's kid down the street screaming for help, I would be like moved and like so dramatically. I would probably take off running to try to help this child.
Absolutely.
Even though I don't know that child. Plain and simple. That's all that needs to be said. And so if God is the creator of all human flesh,
like Paul said, a truly loving God, the true Father of us all, and as an parent, you run. You don't wait. You run. Right. Just like you were saying. That's a great analogy, William.
Cool. Thank you.
Great. That's a great analogy. I got to remember that.
That's funny. Oh, you want to hear something funny? We were at the store today. It was up at the mall picking up. Once a year, let me tell you this. Once a year, we go up to Macy's. Macy's, right? The big spenders in Austin, because they have a special room called something, the Outback or the back of the store. I don't know. It's got a weird name to it, but it's where they put all their markdown stuff.
Sure.
And all of their really, really expensive clothes that you can't buy at Walmart and you can't buy at Target, they actually you can actually buy in this back room on clearance for cheaper than you can actually buy clothes at Walmart. Like, and hands down, every single time. And so once a year we usually go up there. And today we went up there because it was my daughter-in-law's birthday today. So we went and bought her lunch, and we figured we would, take care of two things at once. And so anyway, while we were up there, I was in one store. This lady and this guy who were working there, they would say, "You have beautiful children." I said, "Thank you. I made them myself." Anyway, and my wife was like, oh, okay.
Thank you. I was about to say something.
And they thought that was funny. Anyway, I don't know why that came up, but okay. So let's getting back, reconnecting to your point of your story.
Oh, this conversation, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
So
a little derail.
That pretty well covered that, and I said, by the way, you do know that it's a Christian God of small g, God of vengefulness, who would be so petty that if you don't pray in the right name. It's not the Jewish idea of God, it's the Christian idea of God that seems to be so vengeful and demanding.
Right.
Harsh and hard and whatever. And boy, that really got him quiet. So the next thing he was asking me about is in the year, he put it with Constantine, which I thought was interesting.
325?
Yeah, he was talking about the break between Christianity and Judaism. And I said, wait a minute. I put the break a lot earlier than that.
Earlier than Constantine?
Well, I'm sorry?
You're saying you put the break earlier than Constantine?
Oh, I put it hundreds of years before Constantine. Constantine, as you said, is 320 whatever.
Yeah, 325.
Okay, and I put it around 33, 34. Look, Jesus is supposed to do all the things the Jewish Messiah is supposed to do, bring peace, end of famine, universal recognition, God is God. You know, the whole laundry list of what the Messiah is really going to do when he really comes.
Right.
Okay, so he's on the cross and he's dead. And you got a choice. You can either say, hey, we backed the wrong guy. We thought he was the Messiah. We were wrong. Let's move on. Or you can reinterpret the events that occurred so you don't have to give up your faith. Well, he's not supposed to die. Oh, wait, he had to die for your sin. Okay, so they start rationalizing and, so they don't have to give up their belief that he was the Messiah. They just change the definition of the Messiah. And if I could find it, which I'm not sure I can, maybe you can help me, William, but the passage in the New Testament, Book of Acts, I'm almost sure. I'm not as good on the Book of Acts as I am on the Gospels. But there are places in the Christian's New Testament, in the Book of Acts, where the disciples are preaching their Jesus as the Christian concept of Messiah in synagogues, and they get kicked out. They get rejected. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Please repeat that last thing. My son just walked in and asked me a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi.
David. Everybody says hi.
Hi. Okay. Okay. So I'm sure it's the Book of Acts. Okay. I don't remember chapter or verse. Okay. But they're going into the synagogues. Wait, maybe I can do this by just looking the word synagogue.
What were they doing?
Preaching Jesus.
Oh, then every Sabbath day, whatever. No, I thought they were talking about Moses.
In other words, they're going into the Book of Acts. They're going into the synagogue. Okay. So Acts 13. Okay. Why isn't? Oh, here it goes. Okay, Acts 13. All right. After the law and the prophets, the rulers of the synagogue sent unto them, saying, you men and brethren who have any word of exhortation for the people. Then Paul stood up and beckons with his hand, men of Israel, and you that fear God, give audience. And he goes to a whole history, not all of which is accurate, but he basically goes through a history of the Jewish people. Okay. Let's see.
Is it in 13? It's in 13 where he's done this?
I think so.
For they that dwell in Jerusalem and their rulers, because they knew him not. Okay, let's see. While you're doing that, I'm going to look at YouTube because sometimes they'll comment and help us pinpoint that.
Well, that's okay.
Dashboard, there we go. 13:15, Devin says.
13:15?
Yeah. And also,
okay, I was past that already. That's why I didn't see it.
5 also.
Right. Well, yeah, this is where he goes in, and in 13, he's asked to preach to the people. Do you have any word of exhortation for the people? And he starts basically preaching to them their Jesus. Okay. Here, in this example, they do not get kicked out. And all it says is that there were many who came after them to find out more about the Jesus. Okay. I've seen many. We entreat glad tidings. Let's see. And the Jews were gone out of the synagogue. The Gentiles besought that those words might be preached to them the next Sabbath. When the Jews were gone out of the synagogue, the Gentiles besought that these words might be preached to them the next Sabbath, the non-Jews.
Right.
Now, when the congregation was broken up, many of the Jews and religious proselytes followed Paul and Barnabas, who continued to speak with them and persuade them to continue in the grace of God. Okay? But there are plenty of times in the New Testament where and the book of Acts, remember, is early in Christianity. It's not 300 with Constantine, obviously.
Right.
So what happens is they get kicked out. The fact that they're being kicked out in the synagogue, to me, indicates that the split has already taken place between the Jews and earliest Christianity. It's the split between Jews and Christians isn't, some people say it's even with Bar Kokhba.
Yeah, I see what you mean, right? That makes sense.
But I think it's earliest. I think Jesus is dead on the cross. He didn't do what the real Messiah is supposed to do. Right. And when they start making up a new concept of the word Messiah to be a dying, saving man God, or forget the man God, just the dying, saving part, that in and of itself contradicts the Bible, the Torah, what it's, everything it says. And we had to get into another conversation, by the way, about exactly what it means, okay, to die for others. And I brought up the example of a soldier will jump on a hand grenade to save the life of his buddies, of his fellow soldiers, by giving up his own life. Okay, he saved them, but his saving them didn't take away their sin.
Right.
And the idea that people die for others happens all the time. Okay, it happens in war. It happens, mothers putting their body over their children when a calamity occurs, where the mother is dead and the child survives. Okay, people die for other people often, but their dying for them doesn't mean that their sins and their guilt for their sins are taken away. And when the Christian community reinterpreted the death of Jesus to be dying for your sin, that's when the split took place, because the Jews who knew anything at all about Judaism, about the Bible, about the Torah, knew that this was against Jewish law and rejected it. So when I was explaining this to him, and I think he, was very puzzled by it. Let me put it that way. I think he even once said, while we were talking about, this is an hour and a half conversation, well, I'm going to have to research that a little better, or something like that. Okay.
Your conversation with him, in a way, kind of reminds me of remember the post I put up last week or a week and a half ago about me discussing Tanakh with one of my customers on a job site?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. I was very shocked to see how much this guy knew. Now, meaning that most Christians that I talk to, that they really aren't even educated in Christianity. They just they tell you what they've learned, and they tell you their emotions. This guy was like quoting sources that Rabbi Singer covers in his books. I'm thinking, wow, at least he's tried to research it. And so every time he brought something up, like he brought up the LXX, and he brought up all this other stuff on, and when I told him about this stuff, he shook his head and like tilted his head like a puppy dog hearing a strange sound. He's like, really? He's like,
yep.
So yeah,
Yep.
It's pretty wild. And people said, watch it, you're going to lose a customer. He's actually already called me back to do more work for him. So apparently he wasn't too like turned away by me sharing that with him. So that's good. I mean, I don't.
Right.
And just to be clear, I don't go out and talk to everybody. In fact, I've rarely.
Well, you're no
customers,
fun.
You know what I mean? I mean, I rarely talk to customers unless there's something that triggers it, and I really can sense that there is this could go in a good way, or if it goes in a bad way, I don't really care. You know how you get in those positions, like, you know what?
Look,
if they don't call me back, that's good.
Wait,
I don't like them anyway.
Wait a minute.
But that wasn't
William,
the case here. Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you how to do your business.
Okay.
Okay. But you still have to eat.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's why I said
I don't want you to go out of business. You built that building from the ground up, much of which with your own hands. Okay. And please God, continuing contributions from our listeners.
Right.
Okay. That's a hint,
by the way,
people.
we actually have had a few new.
Good.
People
Thank you.
there's been, I think this week there was 2 people. I
Great.
can't call them out by names because I don't remember the names. I would have to look at it on the screen. Who have actually signed up for monthly donations of like 25, whatever. But that's so helpful. Oh my God, you have no idea how helpful that is. Having it regularly is something. Getting the one-time gifts are really nice because it all helps pay the month's bill. But when you have something set up that's on a regular basis, it takes such a load of stress off my mind and off my wife's mind. My wife stresses out because she knows we have rent to pay, and as a mother protecting her children, her thoughts are on, well, yeah, we're going to try to pay the studio and our rent, and what if we don't have the money for both? Where does the money go? You know what I mean? So I can see where she's really troubled by that. And so, so anytime somebody comes in with something on a regular basis to sign up on a monthly thing, that's really, really, that's a huge load off. So, but yeah, so with this guy though, it's not something I do. And I mean, sometimes I'll have a customer for 4 or 5 years. Like I've got a customer I've actually had for 10 years in town, and they have seen me go through transitions so much because it's 10 years. 10 years ago, I just left Christianity and I was moving into the Messianic movement where I was starting to wear yarmulke and I was wearing tzitzit and fringes and all this other stuff. They saw me through all those changes, saw me grow the beard out, I had a long beard, and then they saw me having the fringes on my shirt, going to work, and then all of a sudden they find out that they even noticed the colors of my fringes changed from blue and white to just solid white. And like they don't even know anything about the midrash on that, or the teachings on that, but they noticed it anyway, and they noticed everything. We've been really close friends, and so whenever I finally stopped wearing them all together and stopped wearing the yarmulke and put my baseball cap on, they said, "Okay, William, we have to have a talk." And I'm like, "Finally, yes," because I love these people, and we're actually closer now than we ever been. And they totally respect the journey I've been on, and they have actually learned a lot of unsettling things about Christianity. And have actually modified their views on Christianity thanks to the relationship that Hashem has given me with them. So it's been a long process. It's been 10 years, but, I mean, if God is patient, we should be patient too, so.
Absolutely. All right, before we move on or continue this conversation, Chastity Zaku writes in the chat, I have this one Christian who writes me once a month, quote, "Who is the angel in Exodus 23:20, and who is the angel Joshua worshipped in Joshua chapter 5? I'm getting rather annoyed." Okay. Can I point something out about Exodus 23:20?
Please do.
Just, I mean, for your sake, Chastity. 23:20 reads, "Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him."
Ooh, okay.
Wait a minute. If your friend, this Christian, that keeps asking you this question about the angel and trying probably to make the idea that the angel is actually Jesus, I thought the purpose of Jesus was to pardon your transgressions. Okay, first of all, they don't claim Jesus was an angel. The text here in Exodus clearly says he's an angel. Christianity claims Jesus was above the angels. He was God, or a part of God, or a person of God, but he wasn't an angel. So in 23:20, when God says, "I am sending you an angel," that can't be Jesus. And second of all, the angel, it says, is he's not going to pardon you. When I thought that the whole purpose of Jesus coming, according to Christianity, was to save you from your sins, to pardon you from your sins, to forgive you from your sins. So how could Exodus 23:20, the angel there, be this Jesus that he's probably trying to pretend that's who it's talking about?
Right.
Okay, and then she also had, what was the other one? Where'd it go? Joshua 5 and 5. Let's see.
What are you looking for, Rabbi?
Whatever her reference was. She said,
I never saw it.
I have this one Christian who writes me once a month, who is the angel in Exodus 23:20, which you've already discussed, and who is the angel Joshua worshipped in Joshua 5? I'm getting rather annoyed.
So did he actually worship in Joshua 5?
Well, that's what I'm trying to find.
Okay.
Because I
don't remember that.
I think the guy says, when Joshua was by Jericho, he lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there stood a man over against him with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went to him and said to him, are you for us or for our adversaries? In other words, whose side are you on? And he, I assume that's the angel, said, no, but I as captain of the host of God am I now come. So this is the cherub. Okay, remember, cherub comes from the word sword. A cherub is not a cute little baby fat little baby with wings. A cherub is the, Arnold Schwarzenegger muscular type, holding a enormous sword. Okay, and Joshua fell on his face to the earth and did worship and said to him, what says my Lord unto his servant? So the text doesn't say he's worshiping the captain of the host. It says Joshua fell on the face and worshiped God who sent the captain of the host, which is just an easy way to interpret this as their Christian way.
Okay.
Joshua fell on his face to the earth and did worship and said to him, what says my Lord unto his servant? So it doesn't necessarily mean, I would say it doesn't mean, that Joshua is worshiping the captain of the host of the Lord, but rather he's worshiping God who sent him.
Right. Think about this. If you could translate, or you could give an example into today's society time frame, it would be like somebody said, well, William gave reverence, right? Not prayed or worship, because we would never worship a president, but that William gave reverence to so-and-so because he shook so-and-so's hand, and the so-and-so guy worked for the president, and I'm like, well, first of all, if I did it out of respect, and it wasn't out of respect for the person who came, it was out of respect for the person who sent the guy who showed up. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. That's what I'm saying. That's a perfect example. By the way, I don't want to be technical because the implication is the same, but in the Hebrew, Joshua 5 verse 14, it doesn't say he worshipped. What it says is he bowed down.
Oh, cool.
Let's say, Bati, Vayipol Yehoshua, El Panav, Arza. And Joshua fell down on his face towards the ground, like flat out on the ground.
Right.
And then it says, Vayishtachu. Vayishtachu means bow down. It doesn't necessarily mean worship. I'd have to check that out better. Let's see what good old what's-his-name has.
Right. Pardon me? Sorry.
Shaha, meaning prelude to depress, to prostrate, okay, to bow, to crouch, fall down, humbly beseech, revere, stoop. I don't know that the full meaning of that word is to worship. I think that full meaning is to bow down really low or something.
Rabbi, I need to ask you a question real fast.
Okay, go ahead.
Because I may have given a wrong answer. I'm wondering if she's watching Ahava Chai. I don't know if that's your real name, but she asked a question on my Facebook Messenger. And
exactly.
Here was her question. Rabbi, I need your attention because I'm going to have you clarify what I told her.
I don't know where you're looking.
It's on my Facebook, not on YouTube.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. It said the Christian writings original text, is it Aramaic or Greek? And if you can, please provide a link. I'd like the Jewish source, please, when you have time, blah, blah. And so what I said was, first it was Greek, then it was Latin, then it was reverse engineered into Aramaic.
Absolutely.
Was that correct?
In my opinion, yes.
I actually have an Aramaic English New Testament, and there is no way that is an original because everything they did reverse engineered it from the actual, not even from Latin, but from the English.
Absolutely.
So, right on. Okay,
absolutely.
Cool. Okay.
There is no evidence outside of the Greek New Testament as the oldest texts that there are. And if I remember correctly, look, history is not my best suit.
Right.
Okay? I'm not a historian. I'm more of a theologian, and a popular theologian at that, if you want to know the truth. But my point is that the oldest Aramaic text, as I recall, was dated to the 800s, reverse engineered either from the Greek or the Latin or the English, not the English, but English or Latin,
Right.
And supposedly dated to about the year 800.
Oh, wow.
And
Nice.
they've got, I can't remember the names for these, but there are names for these Aramaic texts. Uh, I think it's by city or town where they found it or something like that.
Maybe plagiarism? Ah.
No, not plagiarism, but the history of the Aramaic text of the New Testament is very recent.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, the old Syriac. Let's see. Mainstream and modern scholars have generally had a strong agreement that the New Testament was written in Greek and that an Aramaic source text was used for portions of the New Testament, especially the Gospels. They acknowledge that many individual sayings of Jesus found in the Greek Gospels may be translations from an Aramaic source, and they refer to it as Q, the Q document.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about that.
But there is no Q document in existence. Okay. Okay, and by the way, whoever wrote this is clearly messianic because they're using the word Yeshua for Jesus as opposed to the word Jesus. So clearly they've got an edge to grind.
I just messaged her, the one I asked you the question about the Greek, Hebrew, English, and then to Aramaic. She's just now tuning in. So if you want to do a summary or a quick recap and then continue to explain, that would be great.
Well, basically what I was saying is that, like you just said to me, that the earliest texts of the New Testament are Greek, and that the timing of the texts that we have in Aramaic were much later than than the events of the New Testament.
Right on. Okay.
Okay. Now I'm trying to find something that dates it, but I can't find.
I'm going to go ahead and open up the phone lines. Is that good, Rabbi?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
well,
cool.
I think I basically told you what happened with the.
The overall view of the pastor, the guy who, at least an educated Christian, was concerned about his son getting converted.
Yeah.
Right. Very good.
Right. See, 6th century, 8th century. Okay. 532. All of these texts. Okay. The year 823, 12th century, 615. There's nothing older than the 5th century.
Right.
Okay. So I thought it was the 8th century, 9th century, but at any rate, the point is there. Dating. All right, so all right, did I answer the question? I think I was talking mainly before she got on.
Really, it doesn't require a super long answer anyway. I mean, if you found the earliest reference to the Aramaic was in the
500th century, 4th or 5th or 6th century was the
Right.
oldest they had listed.
Right, and so that's definitely not the original.
Let's see, yeah.
So, very cool. Okay, good. So, all right, very good. All right, well, the phone lines are open, 855-95-BIBLE. If you're on the go, 855-952-4253. Call in with your questions. We have about half an hour left, so if you've got any questions that's pressing. One thing I need to do, I haven't checked in a long time. I have not checked my email, just because I've got too many emails and stuff going on. Let me check it now. I'm going to go and look for, if you guys have questions you would like to have it discussed, send it to TanakTalkQuestions@gmail.com.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm going to log into there now.
Tanakh Talk Questions. That's very good.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. See, add account. See, it's not even on this computer. I did a shift. Oh, there it is right there. Next. And next.
Yeah. One of the earliest
Yes,
complete manuscripts of the Peshitta, which is an Aramaic translation, is dated to the 4th century.
Oh, wow. 4th century.
Let's see. I'm reading from various articles, doing a Google search, so whatever that's worth. Here's an article that says problems with the primacy of the Peshitta. Okay.
All right, we have a call. Let's go.
Telephone.
All right.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome to the show. Please tell us your name, where you're calling from.
Yes, hi. Am I on the air?
You are live on the air. Wow, everybody's calling.
Oh my goodness, sorry. Thank you so much. And shalom from St. Louis again.
Welcome.
St.
Rabbi,
Louis.
this is Beth. Hi.
Hi.
I have a question. I have listened to your show tonight. I got to listen to it from the beginning this time, and I hope my question's relevant to what you all are discussing. But
Even if it's not relevant, we like questions, period.
Yeah,
So go
any
ahead.
question is fine.
Okay. The tendency with Christianity and Judaism is we think of them as so similar, but there's so much that isn't, and
That's why my book is
basic.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, please go ahead about your book.
No, I'm sorry. I was just going to say
Actually, let me chime in, Rabbi. So, do you know about his book?
No, I don't. That's why I wanted to hear.
This is why I wanted to chime in. This is great. Okay, so first of all, Judaism and Christianity, a contrast. This is one I love the title.
I need to read that.
Oh, it's absolutely wonderful. It's great. It's kind of like
okay.
So like Rabbi Singer's books are kind of like reading an encyclopedia set. Okay, Rabbi Federow's book is like a nice power pill you can swallow probably in a couple readings. It's absolutely amazing. If you don't have it, you can find it on Amazon.com. Judaism and Christianity, a contrast. Brilliant. Rabbi?
Okay. Well, then this question is probably in there, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it anyway, just so I can hear it straight from your mouth. And that is witnessing. The Christian term is witnessing, and that's what Christians are taught to do. And that you take the message of the gospel and you go and you tell it to people, and you're judged by how much witnessing you do and how many quote unquote souls that you help save. Okay. And so for you as a rabbi, if you were to, let's say you met a Buddhist or a Hindu or, I don't know, someone from another religion, how do you feel about that? What do you, I know what Christians are taught to do. We're taught to, if possible, and the timing is right or whatever, we're to share our religion with someone else. What do you do as a rabbi? Do you feel compelled to share the message of the Torah with people who don't worship the same?
Let me tell you something. What was your first name?
Beth.
Beth. Hi, Beth.
Hi.
Beth, you are you are talking to a nutcase of a rabbi. Okay. The back of my, I don't even know how to, wait, do I have, no, I probably don't. They're probably in my car. Okay, let me put it this way. On the back of my car, because I am a nutcase, and there's a lot of resentment for me, by the way, I don't mind telling you. But on the back of my car, I have 3 bumper stickers. The first bumper sticker I had made reads, "Choose to be chosen, choose Judaism."
Oh, okay.
In other words, it's an open invitation for people to convert to Judaism. I call myself a missionary for Judaism, a proselytizer, a polemicist, whatever. Okay. The second bumper sticker on my car reads, which is my website, whatjewsbelieve.org.
Okay.
Whatjewsbelieve.org. Okay. The third bumper sticker on the back of my car, and remember, this is the car I use every day, everywhere, is the Spanish. I'm in Houston. So the back of my car has the third bumper sticker, creenciajudia.org, which is a Spanish translation of the earliest version of my website, whatjewsbelieve.org. Okay.
Oh, wow.
So I have had Jews come up to me, harangue me for having that on the back of my car,
Okay.
angrily tell me that I'm, first thing they want to know is if I've ever been shot at, because they think I'm going to get shot at. I used to, just to be clear, I used to teach an introduction to Judaism at Houston Baptist University, and I never got so much as a
Oh my
pamphlet on my
goodness.
car. Okay, that's one thing.
Wow.
Second of all,
Okay.
the only time I can think of that I got harassed by someone for the bumper stickers on my car was a guy who was clearly a Muslim who was just driving and staring at us. And since I'm not a nice person, I told my kids, on the count of 3, face to the right and start laughing and pointing and laughing and pointing. And so on the count of 3, we all looked right at this guy and started laughing and pointing at him and laughing and pointing at him. He gave a look of disgust and went away. But he was matching our speed down Interstate 45. So at any rate, I've had Jews tell me how horrible it is that I have these bumper stickers on my car. Okay, about once every 4 or 5 or 6 years. Today, I started my 25th year as the rabbi of my synagogue, and for about 20 plus years of that. Well, at 20 plus years of that.
Well, it is today. Oh, today's July 1st. Okay, wow.
Yep,
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So at any rate, Houston has something called Yom Limud, Day of Learning. 80 people teaching classes from 9 o'clock in the morning till 4 in the afternoon. It's the best day of the year. I love it. In the morning, I teach my Learn How to Read Hebrew in 3 hours class. Okay, but in the afternoon, okay, I try to teach other classes as well. And one of the classes I teach, which does not get me fans, the absolute necessity of the Jewish community to missionize the world to Judaism.
Oh, okay. Well, now, can you answer why doesn't it get you fans? I would think
because
that you
Jews
would
think that we're not supposed to missionize. Okay, and my thesis, because I got all these quotations, my thesis is that the attitude that Judaism seems to have, that we're not supposed to missionize, in the world, is not an inherently Jewish concept, but is a response by the Jews to how we were treated by people more powerful than we are. Council of Nicaea 325, 324, 325, whatever, gave the death penalty for any Jew caught missionizing. That kind of makes it fall out of favor really quick. But let me ask you a question. Why pass a law against Jews?
I did not know that. Oh my
I'm sorry, what?
Goodness.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
There are 2 councils of Nicaea. One was in 324, 325, and then there was a later council of Nicaea, like 373, I can't remember. And I think it was the second one that they actually made it a death penalty for any Jew missionizing and any heathen listening to the Jew. Okay, well, that's not us making the statement we shouldn't missionize. That's a response to the force of the more powerful to make us stop missionizing.
Hey, Rabbi, real quickly.
Yeah.
Please tell me your name again. Sorry, I apologize.
Beth.
Beth. Are you watching the YouTube chat by chance?
No, I'm not. I'm on my phone and I can't see it. I apologize.
Okay. So if you could just remember this, tanaktalk@gmail.com. Can you remember that?
Okay.
Because it's like
the
channel, just like the channel Tanakh Talk, TENAK, like 10.
Yes.
Okay. Send me an email with your name and address. I think Rabbi's going to try to send you a book. Okay, or one of us will. Okay.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. No, Rabbi, I will buy it. I will gladly.
No, absolutely not. I don't want you to buy it at all. I'd be happy to send you an autographed copy.
So just send me.
Which I was trying to ask William to do that off the air, so nobody else will. But doesn't matter. Okay, let's see. How is it?
Well, Rabbi, can I ask you a question about St. Louis? Is there a place in St. Louis that I could go that you know of where I could take these kind of classes and where they're as open as you are? You're very open. I mean, you have no problem at all with non-Jews talking to you and asking you questions.
No, this is what I live for.
Okay.
On my wait a minute. Here, let me just real quick try to do this. you're going to have to tell me if this works, William. But this is my card. Can you see my card?
Hold it. Scoot in a little closer and hold it real still.
Yeah, hold it still.
Oh, okay.
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 So
now,
you see
now
that
remember
on the
I
this.
can't
bottom
watch
right.
right now because
I'm sorry.
I'm okay.
That's okay. No, listen. Go back and watch the video, and you're going to watch right around the 40.
Oh, I got you. Yes.
At the 45-minute mark on
No.
money.
But my point is
you'll
that you'll
this
see
card.
questions about Judaism is important enough to me that I put it on my card.
Right.
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you?
Well,
was that clear? Could you actually
God
see it?
bless you, because this is the only way to learn. I mean, we have to learn by talking. We have to learn by engaging, and it's just
No,
people
I
like
agree
you who are
completely.
open. Yeah.
It is.
And-
I learn more from listening to other people debate and argue. I'm hoping that's clear. It's somewhat clear.
Yeah, it's pretty clear. Just remember, if you go back to the 45-minute mark of the video, just remember 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Fast
Yes.
forward to that point, and you'll see.
I will. Thank you.
All right. But
anybody
anyway,
else watching as well.
At any rate, my point is that, what was my point? My point was, Jews have a hypersensitivity.
Why don't they want to missionize in the way you want to missionize?
Okay. Well, first of all, how we missionize is important. I don't want to wake people up at 7 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, okay, and tell them, tell them they have to convert, okay. But on the other hand, what about an ad in the newspaper? Contrary to popular belief, non-Jews are welcome to come to Jewish services, and Judaism and the Jewish people welcome others to convert to their faith. Okay, for further information, please go to your nearest synagogue, and please know that the following synagogues have Introduction to Judaism courses, and list the congregations who will volunteer to be on the advertisement. That's missionizing. Missionizing doesn't mean clubbing somebody over the head. Let me rephrase that. Missionizing doesn't demand that you club people over the head to convert. Okay, my simple bumper sticker on my car inviting people to convert is still missionizing. Okay, missionizing doesn't have to be somebody with a bullhorn on a corner, like I know a minister who does, literally, haranguing people that they're going to go to hell if they don't convert. Okay, and people will say, oh, but Judaism doesn't believe you have to be Jewish to go to heaven. That's true, we don't. But if you want to live a better life in this life, I think you'll live a better life if you become Jewish than any other religion on planet Earth. I think Judaism is the right religion. I think it's literally the religion God made when God made a covenant with Abraham. Okay. I think it's developed exactly how God wanted it because I thought God was in control. And when the Sadducees and Essenes and Zealots die out and the only kind of Judaism left is Pharisee, which becomes rabbinic, I think that's God's choice. Okay. So personal opinion, okay, is that Judaism is the best religion to be, and because it does so much for its adherents that it's worthwhile to becoming a Jew. Okay, and inviting people to convert. And yes, we believe that everybody will go to heaven. And what's the line, William? The righteous of every nation shall inherit the kingdom of God, or a place in the world to come. Okay, yes, we believe that. That's true. But here on earth, a person's life will be better lived, with a close relationship with God through fulfillment of God's mitzvot, commandments, okay, than any other religion on earth. Look at what the Jews have produced for the rest of the world. Okay, I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you, and through you will the rest of the families of the earth be blessed. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, why is it?
Yes.
And I know that scientists give all sorts of biological explanations, and I'm sure that's really a part of it. I don't deny that. But why is it that the Jewish community, this is one example, why is it that the Jewish community has one of the lowest incidences of alcoholism and drunkenness? Why is it that through the ages, Jewish men have been considered to be better husbands as a result? In my opinion, it's because it's a direct benefit of Judaism's approach to alcohol consumption. Judaism never said, uh, what's it called? Forbidden fruit, pardon the pun. Okay, Judaism
Okay.
uses alcohol in a way to enhance life, not as a way to avoid life. If every time I
Yeah.
drink an alcoholic beverage, I have to recite a blessing to God, I'm not using the liquor, the wine, the grape juice, okay, as a way to escape life. I'm using the wine, okay, the liquor, the alcoholic beverage. I'm using that to enhance life because I'm bringing God into it by reciting a blessing, thanking God. And so Jews don't learn, hey man, there's nothing to do tonight. Let's go get drunk. Okay, they learn that when they
No.
handle liquor, they have to say thank God for it. And that puts a whole different spin on how we view alcohol. And I think that means, personally speaking, Jews are less likely, doesn't mean we're not alcoholic, doesn't mean there's no alcoholism. That's not what I'm saying. I said, I think that we are less likely to become alcoholics because of the way in which we handle liquor. And that's just a minor example. That's a teeny little isolated little bitty example of the side benefits of doing Judaism. People forget, and I hate to say this because I know I'm going to get reminded of this conversation later. This is my next book. It's called The Benefits of Faith, Why You Should Be an Observant Jew.
Oh.
Okay, because there's so many benefits, people don't even realize the effect that religion has on a person. Okay, there's a whole thing about that I do as part of one of the things I did for Yom Limud on an occasional basis. But the point is that if I believe that being Jewish, okay, that becoming a Jew, converting to Judaism will make you have a better life in this world, that's my impetus for missionizing.
Okay.
Other people don't agree with me. They think it's a horrible thing for me to do and say. Okay, they think that, well, let's see, if Christianity does XYZ, then Jews do the opposite of XYZ, no matter what it is. And it's not true. Okay, just because they missionize doesn't, let me tell you something else that I've heard before. Show me the page. Show me where it's written. Just show me the page. Well, a rabbi has to push away a potential convert 3 times before they're accepted. Really? Show me that. Show me. I want to see that. Show that to me. Okay, it's probably in a commentary of 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 something in the Talmud, but it's not Talmudic. Okay. Let's see if I can find this real quick because it's important. Come on. Bingo. Okay, so how about this for an interesting quotation? Okay. Rabbi Eliezer ben Padat in the Talmud Pesachim 87b. HaKadosh Baruch Hu dispersed the people of Israel among the nations in order for them to make proselytes.
Oh, wow.
Avot de Rabbi Natan, chapter 12. Okay, every Jew should endeavor to actively bring men under the wing of God's presence, just as Abraham did. What does it mean, just as Abraham did? Genesis chapter 12, verse 5, where it says that when Abraham and Sarah left Haran to go to the promised land, they took the souls that they had made. Well, they didn't have children yet, so it's not talking children, the souls they had made. It's not talking slaves because at this point they hadn't become wealthy, so I don't know if they had any slaves. And Judaism interprets the souls they had made to mean the proselytes, the converts to their Judaism, okay, to their monotheism that they had made. Okay. How about this one?
I'm gonna read that. I'm gonna go read that.
How about Leviticus Rabbah chapter 2 verse 9? When a person comes to be converted, one receives him with an open hand so as to bring him under the wings of the divine presence. Where in there does it say reject 3 times? Okay. Let's see. Okay. Why are the converts to Judaism more dear to God than all of the Israelites who stood at Mount Sinai. Had the Israelites not witnessed the lightning, thunder, and quaking mountain, and had they not heard the sounds of the shofar, they would not have accepted the Torah. But the convert who did not see or hear any of these things surrendered to God and accepted the yoke of heaven. Can anyone be dearer to God than such a person? Tanchuma B. Lech Lecha, chapter 6, number 32. Let's see.
And that, did you say that's Leviticus?
I'm sorry, what?
What book of the Tanakh?
It's a midrash. It's a midrash.
Leviticus,
It's a collection of
6?
midrash. It's Tanchuma, which is a form of midrash.
Okay.
And it's the one on Lech Lecha.
That's beautiful. I've never heard any of these before. This
of
is
course
really
not. That's my point. This is 1/100th of my speech when I do my. The fancy term is inviting others to join us on our journey. Why and how the Jewish people should start missionizing again. Okay, because I believe Jews have always been missionaries, except when Christianity came on the scene and kind of forced the Jews to stop doing it. Okay.
Yeah. I know.
How about Eliezer ben Hyrcanus? Okay, Rabbi Eliezer ben Hyrcanus. Okay, Mechilta, which is another collection of midrash, Amalek. When a person comes to you in sincerity to be converted, do not reject him, but on the contrary, encourage him. Wait a minute. Where's the 3 rejections there? Okay. Moses ben Jacob of Sursi. Can't pronounce it. So long as the Jews act deceitfully toward Gentiles, who will attach themselves to the Jews? Let's see. Maimonides criticized
Can I ask
those.
a question of William real quick?
Go ahead.
Sure, go ahead.
William, what do you think? I mean, I know that you have many different rabbis on your program. So where do you come down with this kind of the philosophy of Rabbi Federow? Or do you just like having different perspectives so that people like me can see all different points of view or whatever? Do you have a point of view, or are you still forming your? Okay.
I do, and thank you for asking. I appreciate that very much. So my whole aspect on whether we call it proselytizing or just simply teaching or bringing it up in general is it's kind of like this. The way I see it is like being a light is being a light to the nations. That's kind of where I want to put my focus, right? So if I was picturing myself like, let's just say I lived out in the country and we didn't have electricity and all I had was like flashlights and candles, right? And so in a world of darkness, if as long as I'm carrying my light with me, I'm being a light to anybody within reach, right? So anybody who sees what I'm doing, they can see me clearly because I am the light at that point in time, and they're benefiting from the light I'm putting out. I'm not going to put my hand over the light and block the light from hitting them.
No,
that makes no sense whatsoever, right? So in the Torah world, I live my life, and if I'm going to, for example, now granted, I'm not a Jew. Maybe one day I will be, but I am following the laws of Judaism. And so if I decide to go, for example, let me clarify something there. I don't eat unclean flesh. Now, according to the Jew, I don't eat kosher because I don't eat according to halacha for a Jew. Everything's got to be slaughtered the right way and such. But but personally, I choose to not eat unclean animal flesh. I don't eat shrimp. We don't eat pork. We avoid all those things. We even avoid eating cheeseburgers, for example, because now I'm not obligated to because I'm not Jewish, but I do it just out of my respect for Hashem. So when I go to as a non-Jew, and I go into a Chinese restaurant and I ask them about something. What is that, Rabbi? Oh,
no, keep talking.
Your car bumper stickers. That's cool. And I go into this place and they have something. I'm gonna make up something. I don't even know what the heck it is. Egg foo young. I don't know. My first question to them, if I don't know what it is there pork in there? And they're gonna be like, "Why do you care if there's pork or not?" and that gives me an opportunity to if they ask,
Okay.
I can either say, hey, well, I'm Jewish, even though I'm not. I'll say I'm Jewish. I can't have pork or something like that. And sometimes it will actually trigger a conversation. And if it does, and if they ask, then I'll elaborate more. That's where the light starts showing up, right? I'm not going to put my hand over. If they ask me the question, I'm not going to cover the candle so they can't see it. I'm actually going to use that as an opportunity to talk. Now, granted, I don't go around all the time trying to trigger conversations. I just simply go about my day.
Right.
And if something presents itself, I will comment, and so, and to me, I don't see that as proselytizing. I see that as being a light. I think what Rabbi Federow said was brilliant in the fact that he's not, that proselytizing, in my opinion, also would line up with rabbis, would be standing on a street corner with a speaker, forcing people to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
Likewise, taking...
Well, he is a rabbi. I mean, that is his...
Right on.
That's his calling. And so, I mean, he is so much more knowledgeable than you. And if someone had a bunch of questions or whatever, you and I would probably... I mean, you would have more answers than I would, but
let me throw something else at you too, real fast. This you might get a little bit out of as well. So being a light, have you ever seen? Do you know what a Q-beam is, or like a spotlight, right? You can't look into a spotlight. It'll actually like burn your retina. It's bright. It's like looking at somebody welding while they're welding, right? Yeah. So what Christianity does, and I know this for a fact because I was a Christian for many years, and I did this. I was even a street evangelist, which is what this guy was doing with I did all that stuff, right? Okay. So what that is doing, people going around knocking on your doors, for example, right? That's like taking a Q-beam or a welding stick and blasting it right in front of your eye, completely blinding you. Light can only do good if it illuminates, not blinds. Right?
Exactly. Well put, by the way.
I can't argue with that.
Okay, so that's kind of where I stand. I think that may be what Rabbi is going at as well. And not all rabbis think that you should never talk, because I mean all the teachers on my channel, for example, actually reach out. They're counter missionaries, and they do take that light and they share it with the non-Jewish world. That's their whole purpose. So I think it's beautiful.
Okay.
I hope that helped.
Well, thank you both for sharing it with me and taking
anytime,
the time
and please
talk with
email me. Okay.
Okay.
Does she have your email?
I will do that. I will go to the website whatjewsbelieve.org.
Yeah, it's whatjewsbelieve.org is my website, and you can email me through that. Okay, I don't look at the emails there that often, but you can email me through that.
Very good, very good. Which means you don't need to email me unless you have another question. So thank you so much, Beth, for your call. I really appreciate your conversation. Take care. Bye-bye.
All right.
Wow, the phones have been ringing. As soon as I signed in, it's like the phones have been going nuts.
Go ahead, do it.
This is great. Welcome to the show. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Yeah, hi, my name's Chad Ellis, and I'm calling from San Diego.
Chad, welcome to the show.
San Diego. SeaWorld.
Yeah. So my question is regarding Isaiah 59:20, which says the Redeemer will come to Zion, to those in Jacob who repent of their sins. And Paul quotes, or perhaps misquotes this by saying that the deliverer will come out of Zion and shall turn ungodliness away from Jacob. So I'm wondering how we can figure out who's correct, because sometimes
don't hang up. Just go ahead and stay on the phone with us, because we'll probably talk with you along the way here. Okay?
No, but wait, I need to know what I didn't hear his verse. He gave it so quickly I couldn't.
Was it
hear
Isaiah 59:20?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So Paul says in Romans 11:26 that the deliverer will come out of Zion.
Oh, Romans.
And shall come to turn ungodliness away from Jacob. And Christians sometimes argue that our oldest manuscripts are the Greek manuscripts that concord with this version, and the Masoretic texts. So I'm wondering, how to respond to that.
Okay, so real quickly, Rabbi. I mean,
but where was Isaiah? What was he quoting there? You said Isaiah 59 something, I think.
Yeah, 59:20.
I'll put it up on your screen here too.
59:20.
I can read it again if you want.
Chapter 59. Okay, here we go. Isaiah 59. I'm going to Kabbalah.
All right, look, but let me ask you a question just real quick. Okay, what I'm about to say proves nothing. Okay, it proves nothing. Okay,
Yeah.
but I do have to ask the question, isn't it convenient that the quotation they say is the accurate quotation, namely which they say comes from the Septuagint, happens to be
Yeah.
the one of the two quotations that most validates Christian theology?
Yeah. I agree.
Okay, in other words,
Yeah.
they're picking their own side by picking their own side.
Yeah.
They're
Okay.
trying to prove the existence and the proof of Mashiach they're trying to prove the New Testament by using the New Testament.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Second question I have about Isaiah 59:20 is, the Redeemer comes to Zion and to those that turn from transgression in Jacob. Okay. The
Yeah.
Redeemer comes to the Jews. Zion basically means Jerusalem. Jacob is a reference to the father of the 12 tribes, the ancestor of all Jews. Okay. In other
Yeah.
words, the people turn from transgression, they turn away from their sin, and that brings the Redeemer. Okay. Isn't that basic Judaism? Isn't that basic
Yeah.
to Jewish thought? Okay. That we get forgiven, redeemed for our sins when we have turned away from our sin.
After we've turned from our sins, not
Exactly.
Well, I
result
certainly
of.
agree. That's
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the theology of Judaism is, and I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. The theology of the Bible, okay, the theology of the Tanakh, the theology of the Torah is maintained with what you call the Masoretic translation and violated by what they say is the Septuagint translation.
yeah.
So which one is the most likely to be the original?
Well, I would
The
say
one,
yeah.
the one that's in consonance with the rest of the Bible, or the one that contradicts it?
Yeah. Well, I can certainly agree with you on that. It's certainly more consistent with Jewish theology to say that the Redeemer is coming to those who on their own turn away from sins.
Exactly. Okay.
But
Now, let me
to a Christian, that's not very convincing, because they'll say our Greek translation is older than the Masoretic text, so it's more reliable. But I agree with what you're saying, though.
Okay, but let's talk about a minute about the Septuagint. Okay, there's a whole history of the Septuagint which Christianity wants to ignore. When the Septuagint was made, I'm sorry?
I was just going to say I'm aware that the Jews didn't actually do that. That the Jews only did the 5 books of Moses, and that they didn't do Isaiah.
Well, it's worse than that, actually. Okay, because the Septuagint that was done by the 70, that's where the word Septuagint comes from, was called a national tragedy by the Jews of the Greek-owned part of the world, of the Mediterranean. They called it a national tragedy. They're not the ones who maintained it. It fell out of disuse. They had the original. Why did they need a Greek translation? The Greek translation was for Ptolemy, okay, who made the 70 translate it in the first place, so he could put it in his library of Alexandria. Okay,
right.
That died out. That was not used by the Jews. They had the original. They didn't need it.
The first is from Wikipedia.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, so my phone all of a sudden decided to go on. Okay, so even the Septuagint that is of the 5 books of Moses that we have now is not the one originally done by the 70. And then adding to that what you just said, that the Nach, the prophets and the writings, the rest of the Bible was done by non-Jews of varying quality, of usually very low quality. Varying low quality is what I'm trying to say. Okay. And we don't even know who did it. And then they assembled all these various translations into Greek and then called it the Septuagint. Okay, and we're supposed to trust that instead of trusting the Hebrew text. What did the Masoretes do? What exactly precisely did the Masoretes do? They added vowels to the existing text. They didn't change the text, they added vowels to it. Where did they get the vowels? Did they make them up as they went along? No. They were taking the standard understanding of the Hebrew text and putting the points, dots, vowels, okay, where they go, which was the already existing at the time of the Masoretes way of pronouncing the words that were on the page.
I see.
Do you see what I'm saying? That's all they did.
Yeah.
That's all the Masoretes did, is they took the already existing text and add the vowels to it. William, am I remembering correctly? Remember, history is not my best topic.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
William, are you there?
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Chad.
No, he was asking me, though. Okay.
Yeah, but William, are you backing me up here? Am I right?
Tell me the point.
The point is that the only thing the Masoretes did was point the text. They put the vowels on the text.
Right.
They didn't change anything. They didn't add anything except the vowels.
Right. The whole point of the Masoretic text itself, it's a handed down language. I mean, it wasn't that it didn't exist. It was always there. It was just finally written, but it was the Masorete means it was handed down. It was a passed down.
They took the traditional way of pronouncing the words and put vowels on the text to show how it was pronounced.
Right.
And it's the pronunciation that determines the translation.
I would say it's kind of like this, Rabbi. So we homeschool our kids, right? And so they have this thing. I remember very, very clearly when I was in school learning grammar and English and stuff. They had when there was a vowel like an A, E, I, O, or U, the only two symbols that they ever had was one was like a little U, like a little cup, over the top of a letter, a vowel, or a straight line. Yeah. One means it was short, one means it was long. But did you know that now they actually have an upside-down E called a schwa? And I'm thinking, where the heck did this come from? This is like brand new. But actually, it's not new. The rule has always been there. They just finally illustrated a point so that people could actually get it. That's exactly how the vowel systems work, the Nicodim, or the Nicodotes, pardon me. And so that's the same thing. They've always been there. It's just that somebody finally came up with an idea on how to teach people, right? They've always been there.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's very interesting. Thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, right on. Thank you for calling.
Anytime.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
All right.
Okay, so this has been good. Rabbi, we are already at an hour and 15 minutes. It feels like it's been only a half an hour to 45 minutes. Let's go ahead and take this other caller. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
Are you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Caller, welcome to the show. You are live on... Whoa. Caller, welcome to the show. You are live on the air. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Hi, my name is Maria, and I'm calling from Southern California.
Hi, Maria. Welcome to the show.
I was in Lancaster, California for 2 years.
Oh, nice. Did you like it?
I thought it was a beautiful area. We used to go to San Diego, which is where our previous caller was calling from, about every 3 or 4 months. So I'm going back to LA in a few weeks to see very, very, very good friends I made who used to live in Lancaster. So, yes.
Wonderful. That's okay. Hold on. Sorry. My kids are in the back. Wait, can you be quiet? I'm sorry. I was calling, and I just caught the latter half of the live program that you're doing. But last Monday, you had talked about Adam and Eve and how I was just very confused about that because I thought that Adam and Eve had sinned. But it seems like it was implying that maybe God had set them up, like he knew that they couldn't eat from the tree and now they can't. Or I was just wondering if you could elaborate because that was very confusing to me.
Okay, then let me help confuse you even more.
Rabbi, can I throw something in here real fast?
Go.
Yeah, because in agreement with her, so one thing that was always taught was sort of that God did set them up. Like he was saying, don't do this to force them to choose, because until they made a choice, he couldn't actually get them to be pinned for anything. I know it sounds really twisted. That'd be like me tricking my son into sinning just so I could punish him. That makes no sense, but that's what I was taught. Just saying. Go ahead.
Okay, well, I don't think God set them up. I think God wanted them to grow up in the Garden of Eden. I think God wanted them to take the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of the difference between good and evil. Okay, because it's taking the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of the difference between good and evil and taking responsibility for your choices between good and evil that makes you grow up.
Right.
So I don't think God was tricking them. I don't think God was, setting them up. Okay. I think God wanted them to eat the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil because that's how you grow up and mature.
That's a good point, right?
But I was curious because why would he tell them not to eat from the tree and then punish them for doing so? If
Well,
he
first
had
of all,
always
let's
intended
talk
them
about
to eat from the tree.
Don't let me forget to talk about the punishments.
Okay.
Okay. But the reason why is because, I'm not sorry, but let me put it, let's go back an even bigger step. Okay. If I have a child and I tell a child not to do something, what are they going to do? They're going to go do it.
Well, they wouldn't do it.
Exactly. Yeah. So Adam and Eve were like children. Okay. They look, if I don't know the difference between good and bad, how am I supposed to know that disobeying God is a bad thing? If I don't know what bad is, how do I know that disobeying God is bad if I don't know what bad is? So I can't. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's very mind-boggling because he's like, oh, from all the other trees you can eat except for this tree you cannot. So
right.
To me, it sounds like almost how like Paul would think of the Torah, how it was like impossible to keep.
Whoa.
So you don't have to keep it, but yet like
where did you real quick? Where did you get that from? I mean, it's very specifically clear in Tanakh and in the actual Tanakh itself that it's not too far from you. It's not in the heavens where you can't reach it. It's actually very keepable. In fact, even mentions in the New Testament there are references that say that Elizabeth and other people have actually kept it perfectly. So for someone to say that it's not keepable is actually erroneous. It's not even true.
Yes, I agree.
Right?
I agree perfectly with that. But what was confusing me is like God is telling them, or telling Adam and Eve, you could eat all the trees except for the tree of the knowledge of good and evil.
Right.
And
that
then
was told.
He tells them that knowing that they're going to do it, and then he punishes them for.
But okay. But let's talk about the
I'm
punishment.
very confused.
Okay. Let me ask you, what is exactly the punishment?
It was, I think, it was childbearing for the women, and then the man would be over
pain
her
of childbearing,
head,
right?
No. Hear what William said. Say it again, William.
I said the actual pain of childbearing, not childbearing itself, but the actual pain of it, right?
Right. How many women do you know? How many women do you know who are barren who would quite literally cut their arm off in order to know that pain?
Oh yeah, right. That's a good point.
I'm sorry, but I don't call that a punishment.
Well, it was kind of like he was doling out punishments.
But I don't call them punishment. You're calling them punishment. You're making it something pejorative, and I am not. I am saying this is a story that explains things in nature. Okay, but I don't call it a punishment. What is Adam's quote unquote punishment?
Yeah,
is that he will
his
instead
was
of
to work by the sweat of his brow, I think.
Right. And how many men do you know who would literally cut off their right arm for a job?
Oh man, that's a really good point. Wow.
I don't call that a punishment. A punishment is something you avoid. It's not something you would say, I'll cut off my arm if you give me a job. I'll cut off my arm if you give me a child.
It's not a punishment. It's more like friction that you create whenever you drive your car and your tires get hot. No one's going to say, I don't want to drive my car because I don't want my tires to get like worn out. So that's really good point, Rabbi. That's a great point.
It's not
actually
a punishment, and I think it is a story to explain natural phenomenon.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Okay. But if Adam and Eve don't know the difference between good and bad, they don't know that disobeying God is a bad thing. And when Adam eats the tree of the knowledge of the difference between good and evil, he now becomes culpable for his choices between good and evil.
So,
if I don't know the difference between good and evil, what is the definition of the insanity plea for murder? It means at the time the crime was committed, the perpetrator did not know the difference between good and evil. Adam and Eve, go ahead.
I just thought of something that might be kind of helpful. Okay, so have you ever seen the movie iRobot? A lot of people have.
Quite a few times.
Okay, so the thing about robots are well, with all robots except for the one that Will Smith had, of course. with robots is they don't have free will. They simply do what they're told. And because of that, you cannot have a relationship with the robot. That's not possible. You own a computer. You tell your computer what to do. You tell it where to go. You can ask it how it feels, unless you have an Alexa who has a smart aleck attitude. You're not going to get a relationship. The only way to create a relationship is to give somebody the ability to choose on their own, to make a free will choice. So what I think happened there was that God was giving Adam and Eve an opportunity to freely choose something without being a robot, so that he could relate to them and so they could relate to him and to have that relationship. Because the only way that was possible is if they could make a choice. And if he told them, go here, go to google.com, blah, 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 and it went there, well, it has to do it. If it said do this, it had to do that. If it said do this, it had to do that. The only way you can have a relationship is if you say this and that thing can actually choose to either do it or not. That's what creates the dynamic of a relationship. So what he did is he created a new way of communication. And so it wasn't that he tricked them into getting punished or tricked them into doing something wrong. He created the most dynamic feature of our existence with God today, and that is the fact that we can choose to do right or wrong, whereas that was never present before. Does that make sense?
I can kind of see what you're saying, but it was like, don't eat from the tree, instead of saying, well, you can, and this would be what would happen if you did, and if you didn't this, like, it was like kind of like he didn't give them options. It was like, don't eat from it. You know what I'm saying? And then for the punishment, if it was like a good thing, why did he kick them out of the Garden of Eden?
Oh, no. The Bible is explicitly clear about why they get kicked out.
It was because they hid from God.
No.
Sorry, my bad.
The Bible is explicitly clear on why they got kicked out of the Garden of Eden. They got kicked out of the Garden of Eden for one reason and one reason only. Put this up on the computer, please.
Okay, what do you got?
Okay. Take a look at verse 22, Genesis 3:22.
Okay, 1 second. Let's see. Torah, Bereshit 1, go, and 22. Okay, here we go.
Okay,
1 second. Let me pull. It's not up yet. Let me get to the other computer, and there we go. I give it about 10 seconds, and the people will see it.
All right. The Bible is explicitly clear on why they got kicked out of the Garden of Eden. The Bible never says that what Adam and Eve did was a sin. The first time the word sin is used is when it is for the jealousy of Cain for Abel, okay? And there it explicitly says, by the way, that Cain can master sin. Okay. But take a look. Wait a minute. What are you doing? Chapter 3, verse 20.
Okay. 1 second.
I think you're in chapter
I thought you said it was 120. Oh, okay.
No, 3:20.
Oh, my bad. That was my fault. Sorry. Okay, we're up. So about 10, 15 seconds. Here we go. And the man named his wife Eve because she was the mother of all life. That's the area, right?
Right. Okay, so 3:20. Okay. All right. Wait a minute. You keep going back to...
I only changed it once.
Yeah, but I think you changed it to the wrong chapter.
You said 3:20, right?
Yes, I don't think this is 3:20.
Yeah, that's 3:20.
Here, wait, I'm sorry. Wait. Don't move.
What you're seeing is 20 seconds past the time I do it. Just remember that.
Okay, yep, start over. Go back. Okay, good. So 3:20.
I told you you're 20 seconds past when my trigger pulls.
I know. I'm waiting because I want it up there when I read it.
Okay. All right. Now we're back on 3:20, and you'll see it here in just about half a minute.
All right.
Okay. Good deal.
There we go. Okay. Look at verse 22. Okay. Here is where they're about to get kicked out of the Garden of Eden. Now the Lord God said, behold, man has become like one of us, having the ability of knowing good and evil. Who is the us? Who besides God knows the difference between good and evil? The angels. God is speaking to the angels and says to the angels, man has become like one of us, having the ability of knowing good and evil. And now, lest he stretches forth his hand and takes also from the tree of life and eat and live forever, therefore the Lord God sent him out of the Garden of Eden to till the soil from which he was taken. So God and the angels have two characteristics. The first characteristic is that they know the difference between good and evil. And the second characteristic is that both God and the angels are immortal. And the biblical verse says, Adam and Eve, man, is already like us, knowing good and evil, and they will become completely like us if they also become immortal. So in order for them not to become... So in order for them not to...
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
So in order for them not to become immortal, that's why God separates them from the Garden of Eden. And look what it continues to say. Okay, it says that God blocked the way to the tree of life and put a cherub there, which is a military angel, with a flaming sword to protect the tree of life. So in order that human beings don't also become immortal, God kicked them out of the Garden of Eden.
Nice.
It never says because they sinned. The word sin doesn't appear in the Bible until you get to Cain.
Right.
Okay. And second of all, the cherub is there to protect the tree of life. Look, the first time they ate from the tree of the knowledge of the difference between good and evil, boom, as soon as they ate the first bite, from then on, they didn't have to keep eating the tree of the knowledge of the difference between good and evil. As soon as they ate from it the first time, they and their children and descendants forever know the difference between good and evil. And it says, lest they put forth their hand and also take from the tree of life, which means they hadn't eaten from it yet. But once they did, the first time they ate of it, they would then become immortal. What that means is that God, from the very moment of being created, made Adam and Eve mortal. Adam and Eve did not bring death into the world. We do not die because they supposedly sinned in the Garden of Eden. It's as clear as a bell if a person reads the Bible.
Very cool.
Okay?
Okay.
So,
Well, I appreciate you taking it was just, I heard it on Monday and it was like, I thought it was like a punishment because of the childbearing. The snake is now on its belly, so
but
I was just
remember
asking
something.
for clarification because I didn't get it.
First of all, notice something. The only one who was actually changed, him or herself or whatever you want to call it, is the snake who loses its legs, who has to now crawl on its belly. Okay? Adam and Eve are told to be fruitful and multiply before they took the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of the difference between good and evil. Okay? Mm-hmm. They're already told to have babies. So they didn't all of a sudden get the ability to have babies. The only thing that changed is now there would be pain with it.
Right.
Adam was already told or given the task to tend to the garden. Now, I don't know about you. You may love garden work. I despise it. I hate it. I can't stand it. I loathe it. I'd rather do anything than yard work. Okay, my two brothers went off to college, and I was doing our yard alone, and every weed I left alone and every flower I pulled because I couldn't tell the difference.
That's fine.
Okay, I hate yard work. Okay, but it's work. Right. So Adam was already doing work. The only thing that changed for him is now it was going to be tough to get the food out instead of easy. The only animal, mineral, vegetable, whatever, who's changed, okay, is the ground, because now it's made difficult to get food out of it, and the snake, who's the instigator of the whole thing to begin with.
I'd like to
but
throw...
if everything works to the will of God, if God knows the future, God knows that Adam and Eve are going to take the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of the difference in good and evil.
Mm-hmm.
And if God did not really want them to take it, okay, he would have made the world in a different way. He would have set it up so they couldn't take it. But telling them, hey, don't take this, to a child is like, you know, I really want you to take it, but I want you to do it on your own.
So let me throw something in here as a final thought. The whole idea of, Rabbi, thank you for pointing out that it wasn't punishment. It was more like a reaction. Every single thing that, like me, for example, that I work for and I work hard for and I sweat by it, I appreciate it more. I had one time when I was about 16 years old, I had somebody give me a car. This is not a joke. It was a Pontiac Grand Am. I don't even if you know what that looks like, back in a 1968 Pontiac Grand Am. And I just totally destroyed that car. But then my next car that I actually bought and had to pay for, that I had to work by the sweat of my brow, I actually was able to appreciate it and take care of it.
And value it.
And you value it differently, right? So those things that you actually have to pay for, you have more respect for. And so what God did was he allowed us to respect life even more by putting these what we might call burdens. I wouldn't call them punishments at all, but making it difficult for us to attain. And even somebody who works in a gym, who works out, they will tell you no pain, no gain. If you're lifting something that doesn't weigh anything, you're not going to build. You have to have pain to actually move to the next level. For you to jump higher in the air, you first have to squat. You cannot just stand still, and that's called flying, right? No one can fly. You have to squat down first and then push really hard, which builds a little bit of tension in your legs, and then it allows you to get up in the air. Same thing. So I can see very clearly now, after discussing this with Rabbi, that none of that was punishment at all. It was simply something that God needed for us to experience so that we would know and be able to have more respect for it. Does that make sense?
And by the way, there's another element to that too, which I think most people kind of miss. And that is, there is a short period of time where Eve, because she ate the fruit first, immediately knows the difference between good and evil. And she went ahead, knowing the difference between good and evil, and gave the fruit to Adam. Why? It's because, with all due respect to the men, our wives make us grow up. And William, you've heard me say that before.
Right.
Women make their men grow up. They make them mature. They make them take responsibility for their actions. They make them grow up.
Right.
And so in the moment that she took the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of the difference between good and evil, she knew what she was doing had repercussions.
Right.
And she chose to make Adam grow up, which, by the way, makes Eve a hero, not a villain.
Right. Very good. Very good.
So Satan would be like, well, I don't believe that Satan's like the bad guy or whatever.
Right. Good.
But like, so what was the role of Satan telling Eve, like, oh, did not God say you couldn't? Or I forgot exactly the verse, but so was his role to persuade them? Like, what was his role then? Because he was, like you had said, was like changed physically. So was his role to convince them to eat it then?
And I'll go one step further.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
So she's saying what was the Satan's role in this moment? Was it his role to convince them to do it, or to like guarantee that she would make that choice? And I'm adding this part. And if that is true, then why did the serpent suffer? Why did the serpent actually wind up getting punished for something he was designed to do?
Yes.
Okay,
yes, that was
first
a
of
big
all,
one for me too.
Very
Beth,
good. Right.
okay, it's a snake. It's not the Satan. It's not the devil. It's not demonic forces. It's not a demon. It's a snake. The idea that the snake is the devil, or the snake is Satan, or the snake, whatever, that's Christian. That's not Judaism.
That's a good point.
It's a snake. Okay?
Right.
If I try to lead somebody into doing something that we both know is wrong, that makes me the devil?
And let me add this in
Does
there
that
too.
even make me an agent of the devil? No, it means I'm mischievous and I'm being a creep, but it doesn't make me the devil.
And to go a little further, if that's true, which I do believe that's true, what you just said, Rabbi, if that is true, and we know how snakes are today, how snakes can like literally kill people. God did us a favor by doing this because now this thing can't walk around on 4 legs. He actually has to slither across the ground, which is making it a lot safer for humans. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm just saying. There's the Torah prohibition. It says if you have a roof on your house or whatever, a porch above your roof, you have to put a handrail so that the fallen person does not fall, right? So which actually tells you a lot of really interesting things about how God's perspective works, right?
And by the way, that's also called a building code.
Yeah, right.
Not
for sure.
not all Torah law, not all Jewish law is all about ritual. It's also about everything that every other society makes for their laws, building codes.
So the idea of actually, if in fact the serpent was just a serpent and it was not the Satan, it was just simply a serpent, then again, God did us a favor by making sure that that this guy didn't have a faster means of travel. That's all I'm saying.
All right. I hope that answered all your questions about this. Or like I said to begin with,
I'm sorry for asking a ton, but
that was a great series of questions.
I was baking on.
I'm glad you called in.
Thank you.
That was a great series of questions. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm a big fan, so I really appreciate all you do, and I was just every day I was just thinking and thinking and thinking. So I really appreciate you taking all this time to answer all of my questions.
What was your name again?
So
tell us your name one more time.
My
please.
name is Maria.
Maria, thank you so much. Very good.
Hi. Okay.
Very good. Okay, thank you so much for your call. Take care. Shalom, shalom. Bye-bye.
Thank you, and have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you, you too.
Bye-bye.
Okay, before we go, because I know you got to run, so do I.
Yeah.
Cadmar writes, basically the serpent told the lie to Adam and Eve is that they'd become like God, being immortal, not that they should know evil. Wicked, wicked. Cadmar, what? Go back to the Bible and read Genesis chapter 3, verse 4 and 5. And the serpent said unto the woman, you shall not surely die, for God does know that in the day you eat of it, then your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. It's in the text. It specifically says that the serpent says to the woman, if you eat of it, you will know good and evil. So I don't know what leads you to believe that the serpent told a lie that they'd become like God, being immortal, not that they should know evil. It explicitly says that they would become like God, knowing evil and good and evil. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
Okay. But maybe that's part of a bigger conversation I didn't see. I just happened to notice your one little statement.
That is okay.
All right. And by the way, I'm not saying that my view of Genesis and sin in the Garden of Eden and all this stuff is 100% Talmudic. There are thousands of different interpretations of Tanakh. This is only one of them. Okay, so I don't, somebody's pointing out that, I forgot who it was, somebody's pointing out that, parts of the Talmud hold it differently and are more in line with, they sinned and all that stuff. And that's true, but that's not the only interpretation.
Right.
Devar acher, how's that? It's just one more different
another
interpretation.
Word. That's right. Very good.
All
Very
right.
good. Okay, super cool. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. It's been a great show. A lot of really cool questions. It was nice to see the phone lines being flooded as soon as I opened them up. Hopefully, we'll be able to get some more questions.
Oh, yeah, big
answered.
schmooze. Sorry. But yes, I don't say it's the only interpretation, but it's certainly the one I like the best.
There you go.
That's
There
just
you
me.
go. Cool, man. Well, I tell you what. Thank you, Rabbi. This is good. We may have to start doing an hour and a half show from now on because we're at an hour and 40.
I think that's awfully long for you and for me.
It is. It's late at night.
And
that's
it's so
for sure.
long. That's a long time to listen to audio. I think, but that's just me.
It's good information, though. It's good topics. Very good.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah, for sure. Cool, man. All right, Rabbi, thank you so much for your time, and thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you same time, same place next week, Hashem willing. Take care, Shavua Tov. Peace.
Bye.
חשוב מכל חשוב